Rizzo, the moderator for this evening's forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. They put an emphasis on voting. They do not endorse candidates or political parties. This evening will give you an opportunity to gather information about the candidates and to help you make voting decisions. All of the candidates who will be on the ballot on November 5th have been invited to tonight's forum. These candidates are serving our community and participating in the democratic process by their willingness to run for office. We do have a few ground rules. We ask that no campaign signs, buttons, or literature be distributed in this room. There is a table for campaign literature outside this room. There is also information about the League of Women Voters. Please take a look. No video or audio taping or pictures are allowed. And we urge you, please, turn off your cell phones and keep them in your pocket for the duration of the forum. You are welcome to submit written questions on cards distributed. Please indicate the office for whom the questions are directed. In other words, it's for the supervisor, put supervisor. Town board, put town board on it. The questions should be suitable for all the candidates to answer. Please hold up your cards and an usher will collect them throughout the forum. Questions will be screened, and questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature will not be used. Questions that fall in the same general area may be consolidated. There is often not enough time, remember, to cover all the issues. Please feel free to contact the candidates directly for more information. For each office, candidates will have a 2-minute opening statement, 1 minute to answer each question, and 1 minute closing statement. We have timers who will hold up a yellow card when there are 30 seconds left, and a red card when it is time for the candidates to stop. During the questioning time of the forum, the order of candidates will be varied. After each statement or question, please hold your applause until all the candidates have spoken. Now, we also have with us Justice Swinton, who does not have an opponent in this campaign. So at this point, after the forum is over, you will have an opportunity to go up and speak with him, and he will make himself available to you. All right, we're going to begin now with our town supervisor candidates. We have with us Supervisor Syed and Town Council Member Lisa Weber. Yeah. Thank you. Councilwoman Weber.
Okay, thank you very much, Linda. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and to everyone who has joined us. 18 years ago, my husband and I made one of the best decisions of our lives. That's when we chose to move to Niskayuna to raise our family. We chose Niskayuna for its great schools, safe community, and its outstanding quality of life and diversity. I was a government professional and community leader long before I was elected to the town board in 2015. Early in my career, I worked on health policy for the assembly. Then I worked on behalf of kids in family court. I actively volunteered in our school, serving as co-president of the middle school PTO and helping raise money for the regional ALS center through an annual fundraiser held at my synagogue. Now, I'm a trustee of this countywide Schenectady Community Action Program. All of these roles taught me how important it is to listen and then act. This is something that I bring with me to my town board role. Now I am running for town supervisor because I am committed to preserving and building on the very things that drew my family to Niskayuna to begin with. I want to ensure that our town remains a strong, safe community for the people who live here. As your board member, I've kept the town affordable. I'm the only person running for supervisor that has cut your taxes with a 2% decrease in 2017. Since I've been a councilwoman, our bond rating has increased and our rainy day fund has grown. I've expanded our community programs by providing additional hours at our senior center and providing more recreational opportunities like our new splash pad and upgraded dog park. I've invested in initiatives that have made Niskayuna one of the greenest towns in the state, and I'm working to address speeding and zombie properties around town. So, is that the stop? Okay, thank you, Elizabeth.
Supervisor Syed?
Thank you, Linda. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight. I'm Supervisor Yasmin Syed, and it has been an honor and a privilege to serve the town of Niskayuna, where I was born and raised. I ran for office 2 years ago to utilize my corporate finance background to put us on a brighter fiscal path for the future and to make town government more accountable. Under my leadership, we are more fiscally sound, more transparent, and more accountable to our residents and employees than ever. I've brought forth new and original ideas, like launching a dedicated YouTube channel so that residents can live stream all of our town board meetings. I've implemented the process to post the entire board packet online so that residents can view the agenda and resolutions, making town government business completely transparent. I spearheaded the farmers market together with the Niskayuna Co-op to offer our residents a communal gathering place each month and to support our local businesses and our local farmers. I've guided us through several exciting new green initiatives like the countywide solar consortium and community choice aggregation. Both of these projects will save taxpayers money and they will contribute to the growing renewable energy sector here in the state and locally. I've ensured that we are preserving our open spaces, improving our parks and athletic fields, improving our infrastructure, and consistently repaving our roads. Now I'm running for re-election to keep us on this positive path and to build on all of the progress made during my first term. Together, we can keep Niskayuna moving forward. I thank you all so much for attending tonight, and I look forward to answering all of your questions.
Thank you. All right, the first question will be, we're going to start with Lisa Weber. What might you do to improve our town parks and our town recreation programs?
Okay, what I've been hearing for years is that we need a new recreation center for both our senior programs and our youth. The recreation center that we have now is on the outskirts of town. It is built on a hill and it floods. It's an aging building. We need, and it's part of our master plan, a one-level recreation center to better serve the needs of our seniors and our youth. Ideally, this would be located in Blackness Park. It's something that we need to do to plan for our future. It can be done, and we need to take the steps to plan for that.
Thank you.
So with regards to our senior center, undoubtedly we need to find a better location for it. Every time that I talk to our members of the senior center, they always are clamoring for that. We need a new space. The space that they currently occupy, while it's sufficient for their needs, I think we can do better here in Niskayuna. I think we need a first-class senior center and rec center. So engaging in a feasibility study to determine where the best place should be for a new rec center should be priority number one. And we will do that, and once we find a sufficient place, it's determining how we can fund this new building and new capital improvement project. So that's incredibly important, and in terms of our rec programs, we have a robust offering of recreational programs. They're always full. We have an incredible community programs department, and they are really adept at listening to all of the residents, all of their suggestions, taking all of those suggestions as they come in, and then formulating new plans to add and contribute to our existing rec programs. So just relying on the incredible staff that we already have is great, because they're always so attuned to listening to the residents and their wants and needs.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Supervisor Syed. Did you vote yes or no for the wastewater treatment plant, and give reasons why?
Sure. So the first time that this vote came up, it was for the bonding proposal. And I abstained on that. And the reason why I abstained on that vote was because I felt that it was a project that began before my administration. So half of it was already complete by the time that I took over as supervisor. And then going forward with regards to truck traffic and actually enacting certain of the contracts with the individual organic waste suppliers, I abstained on that as well. And the reason why is because unless I feel 100% compelled to vote yes or no, if I feel like I don't have sufficient information to have informed my vote one way or the other, I'm going to choose to abstain, and I did in that instance because there were several questions that I still had that I felt were not sufficiently answered. How many trucks were we going to commit to in total? And that's still a question that is outstanding that we have to figure out as a town board collectively. How many trucks are we going to put on that street? How many trucks do we need to actualize the revenue? How many trucks do we need to actualize the revenue to actually pay for the bond proposal that we have taken on? So we need to take all those factors into consideration. I didn't take any of those decisions lightly. And what I will say is, with regards to my predecessor, it wasn't a concern then when he actually didn't abstain on a number of votes that he should have abstained on with regards to appointing his son to a position in town government. So I take my role as town supervisor seriously. I take our ethics code very seriously too. And I think that we all need to make informed votes when we're up here. And so whether that means abstaining or not abstaining, that we really need to be very informed on our votes.
Thank you. Councilwoman River.
Thank you. When I went to the government officials training class that we all take when we are first sworn in, they told me that we have a responsibility to vote, and the only time that you don't have, that it's appropriate to abstain is when you have a financial conflict of interest or some sort of personal conflict of interest. It's our job and our responsibility to make informed votes. The wastewater treatment plant, that was something that was started to be planned before I became a town board member, before council member McPartland became a town board member. But when we came on board, we educated ourselves to the best of our ability and made informed votes. And it was a difficult decision to make. The attorney actually, our town attorney actually provided an opinion saying the same thing afterwards, that it was not appropriate to vote just because you didn't want to make a decision. So I did vote for the wastewater treatment plant. It was something that we needed to do. The plant needed to be replaced. We needed to protect the Mohawk River, and we needed to do what was best for the entire town and for our environment. And that is why we voted to renovate the wastewater treatment plant and make it environmentally friendly and state-of-the-art. Thank you.
The next question will begin with Lisa Weber. Are there any areas where town residents could benefit from closer cooperation between the town and the school district?
I think so. I think in the area of school safety, of course, there are incidents that we've had in the past year where there has been safety concerns at the school and the police have been called in. There's also the usage of fields. We have field space that the school district can use while they're renovating their own space. There's been a committee that was formed by the Rosendale principal and several of the coaches to partner with the town recreational program. The recreational programs that I oversee as community programs chair really do a good job of feeding into our town sports program on the school level. The kids who start out as playing in our Saturday morning soccer league, they go on to be on the soccer team in the high school. The kids who start swimming in our town pool on the summers, they go on to be in the swim team. So we are doing some partnering. I think we can do even more partnering in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and that's a great question, and it's something that we're already doing. So when I became a supervisor, I sat down with Superintendent Cosmo Tangora, and one of the first things we did was put together a list of equipment that we could share. So in any ways that we can share equipment, save costs on the town and the school level, those are things that we can do to work together on. And more importantly also is the committee that was formed recently to deal with infrastructure both in the town and in the school district. So those are ways that we can work together with having a partnership between the school and the town where there's overlap if we have rec programs and also if there is overlap with just buildings and sports areas. So whether that be running tracks, softball fields, any kind of field, any kind of building, that's always some prime opportunity for us to work together between the town and the school so that we're not duplicating efforts. And so that will ultimately save the residents money and will beautify the town as a whole.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Supervisor Syed. What have you done to protect taxpayers?
That's a really great question. Just recently, I proposed in my tentative budget a 0% tax increase, so we're keeping taxes flat. So right off the bat, we're protecting the taxpayer. In every way that we can, we are looking for efficiencies that can be had, whether that's sharing services between the town and the school, sharing services between the town and the county. With regards to sharing services with the town and the county, we just signed an agreement for a solar energy consortium that is county-wide. It is incredibly important because it does many things. It helps the environment, it's gonna save our taxpayers money, and it's gonna save us money on the municipal level. We have been working with a company called Mega for a number of years, so within our own municipality, as much as we can to be energy efficient and save the taxpayers money, we are doing that. We are converting all of our bulbs here in the building to LEDs, that saves money. And so in as many respects as we can, we're always looking for opportunities to be more fiscally prudent. Another important thing that we can do is adopt a fiscal policy and a fund balance policy. So I authored the town's first ever fund balance policy last year. It's something we're working towards adopting, but that's very important because there are a number of capital projects we can actually fund through that fund balance policy if we have a robust and correct policy. And all of those things will go a long way towards saving the taxpayer funds.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd just like to correct the record on a few things. In 2017, the town board reduced taxes for the taxpayers of Niskayuna in town by 2%. Last year, the current supervisor proposed an increase on taxes for the town. The Democrats on the town board fought back against that proposal and we ended up with no tax increase. And now the current supervisor is advertising that she proposed no tax increase. There was also a proposed cut to our town youth employment program at the pool last year. We pushed back against that. In this year's budget, the revenue estimates are all shaky and inaccurate. The press release accompanying the budget said that there was no increase, but the revenue line calls for a increase in the yard waste fee, and that is a form of regressive taxation. Thank you.
Okay. The next question will begin with Lisa Weber.
Yes.
What can we do to improve our commercial tax base and to support businesses in the town?
Well, we have to actively seek out the kind of merchants that people want here in the town of Niskayuna. It's a great question. People are saying they want restaurants. People are saying they want to have, small boutique shopping. And, we're getting things like dollar stores and an abundance of banks. We need to market ourselves and become more of a destination to get the kind of opportunities we want for our residents in terms of shopping.
Well, one of the most important things we can do, in addition to having a comprehensive plan, is also adopting a business development strategy. And that's something that I would look at doing, since we do have a preponderance and an increasing change in our commercial development. Just announced recently was the fact that SI Group may or may not be leaving Niskayuna. So having a strategy in place and a plan in place that successfully markets Niskayuna to the kinds of businesses that we want to come in is incredibly important and will go a long way towards bringing the kinds of companies that we want to have here in Niskayuna. Another thing that we can do and that we have been doing is working very closely with Metroplex. We actually expanded our Metroplex boundaries this year, and that will go a long way towards working hand in hand with this development authority, Ray Gillen, who's the executive director, incredibly knowledgeable, unmatched in his potential to develop Niskayuna in a very responsible way. These are all things that we have been doing and that I will continue to do as supervisor.
Thank you. All right. The next question will be for Supervisor Syed. How would you evaluate a request for a zoning change?
Well, with regards to a zoning change, that actually wouldn't, if it may or may not be up to the town board, and it would depend on what the specific zoning change was. So the first place that it would go would be to the planning board. And so depending on what the parcel was, we would be relying on our very knowledgeable members of the planning board committee to evaluate that. And so one example of a potential zoning change that we're looking at, that we have looked at, was the ODHEC parcel. So taking it from what is currently zoned as residential and possibly evaluating a change to neighborhood mixed use. These are some examples of decisions that we ultimately may or may not have to make. And the basis for making these decisions will be, how can we ensure that we are preserving open space, promoting walkability and bikeability, but also promoting smart growth, that we don't want to change the character of the neighborhoods, but we do necessarily want to change or have responsible zoning to be working within the confines of our comprehensive plan.
Our zoning laws and regulations, they're there for a reason. They're there to protect the character of our neighborhoods. We can't just change them upon request because a certain business wants to use the property, or a leaving company wants to be able to sell their space. We have a strong planning board and zoning board of appeals. We want to protect our green space. And we also have to keep in mind what our residents want. If our residents are telling us, we represent you. If you're telling us that we don't want to change the zoning to, mixed use from residential, then it's up to us to respect that. We are representatives of you.
Okay, the next question will begin with Lisa Weber. Do you support making Niskayuna a sanctuary city?
A sanctuary city for refugees?
I guess that's what that means, yeah.
Yeah, I am a pro-immigrant, thank you. It hasn't become an issue before, but I am very supportive of immigrants. I came here, my great-grandparents came here from another country. One of my great-grandparents' siblings was not able to enter this country because there was a quota. There weren't enough Jewish people here, and the government sent him to Argentina where he had to live. So part of my family is separated there. Family separations are something that I take seriously. It's a big concern of mine. The situation that's happened in other places where people have been deported is something that's heartbreaking to me. It's something that hasn't come up in the town of Niskayuna, but it's something that I would support here in Niskayuna, yes.
So that's a decision that I definitely would not take lightly, and it would have to be made definitely not unilaterally on my part. It would have to be a concerted effort agreed upon by the entire town board in concert with our police department for sure. So whether that was something that we would want to take on, it would involve extensive conversation and feedback from all of our residents in addition. But I can say, as the daughter of a resident, I'm all for, or not a resident, I'm the daughter of an immigrant. So I can say from that perspective that, the town of Niskayuna is always welcoming to people of all kinds of different backgrounds. And that is one of the reasons why my father left Pakistan and chose to raise his family here in Niskayuna. So of course, I'm always pro-immigration, just from that perspective of being first generation American on my father's side. But again, that would be a decision that I would not take lightly, something that I would not make unilaterally, and would involve a number of different discussions with multiple levels of our town government.
Thank you. Now we'll have closing statements. You have 2 minutes for your closing statement. We'll begin with Lisa Weber.
Sure. Tonight you've had the chance to learn more about me and what I'll do as town supervisor. I could have sought another term on the town board, but I saw the need for stronger, more experienced leadership in the supervisor's office. I've got the government experience, and I'm a property owner who was raised by family here for 18 years. This background means that not only do I have ideas, I have the knowledge, skills, and a network to take the ideas and make them a reality for our town. I'm simply better able to work with the current board, the county and state officials in a collaborative fashion to move our town forward. Plus, the Trump supporting state Republican Party is paying people to come to our town to work on behalf of Niskayuna Republicans. Do we really want that level of meddling in our local election? If you believe Niskayuna deserves strong and experienced leadership and this local campaign should stay local, I ask that you vote for me, Lisa Weber, for Niskayuna Town Supervisor, and my Democratic slate for Town Board, Town Clerk. Thank you.
Supervisor Syed.
Thank you, Linda. I'd again like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight and for all of the very thought-provoking questions that were asked this evening. Having been born and raised here, I have an unmatched dedication and commitment to the town of Niskayuna. I will continue to lead by putting the residents first. I will continue to draw on my corporate finance background to put forth strong fiscal policies and make Niskayuna a more affordable place to call home. I will continue to increase government transparency and accountability. I will continue to treat all employees with dignity and respect. And I will always maintain my open door policy so that employees and residents alike can always speak directly to me whenever they want, no appointment necessary. I will continue to bring forth innovative ideas And most importantly, I will always put our community above partisan politics. Let's keep the progress going. Together, we can keep Niskayuna moving forward. Thank you all so much for coming here tonight.
Thank you. And we'll begin with Jerome Chow.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. So my name is Jerry Chow. I'm running for town board. I'm probably better known these days as Katie Chow's husband, is what I'm starting to find out when I'm at work. People will come to me and they'll stop talking to them and say, "Wait a minute, are you Katie Chow's husband?" And I say, "Well, yes, I am." But unlike some people in this room, I was not born and raised in Niskayuna. In fact, I was born downstate, and my wife was actually born in Delmar. And so you kind of have to wonder why are we in Niskayuna? Well, we did a lot of research, and it would make sense that we would move to Delmar if that's where my wife is from. But in that research, there was a lot that we really, really loved about this town. And that's why we live here. That's why my kids started kindergarten here and went through. And to some of you, my kids are in college. I'm an empty nester. So why am I still here? Because of Niskayuna. I love Niskayuna. And then the other question is why are you running for town board? Well, the reason I'm running for town board is because I love Niskayuna, like everybody else in this room. Like in anything, I'm a small business owner, and there's always room for improvement in my business. Everything just doesn't run smoothly, and everything's not perfect all the time. And that's the same thing for a town. This town does not run smoothly all the time, and I see that. I do come to the town board meetings. I do read about what's going on, and actually, in recent months, I've been hearing a lot in terms of people's complaints and things like that. And so here I am. I'm an empty nester. I do have a lot more time on my hands now. It's unbelievable how much time you have when your kids are out of the house. But I'm seeing the red sign, so I'm going to stop.
Move the mic down, we can move that down.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Tom Hodgkins, and running for town council. I was born in Niskayuna. I'm the son of Suzanne and William. Amazing parents who've been married for 51 years in November. I have a brother, Michael, and I'm the father of Tianning, Heimel, and Conchetta. I'm an alumnus of Rosendale Elementary School, Iroquois Middle School, and Niskayuna High School, class of 1993. I have a BA in History, I have a Master of Arts in Teaching, Social Studies, and a Master's of Arts in Economics. And I've taken a few MBA classes. So I'm an economist, public policy analyst, teacher, carpenter, ceramicist. I ran a ceramics club after school down in the Bronx. For a while I was a commercial roofer, touring the country, putting roofs on Michelin plants. And my first job was here in Niskayuna, delivering the Niskayuna Gazette before school. Currently I am father of my three kids, so I coach soccer, softball, and I help out the community district, Capital District Community Energy Association. I'm an advisory board member, and I also recently founded Evolve Niskay Democracy. So after I got my degree teaching, I taught in the South Bronx for a number of years in the poorest congressional district in the nation. That was very enlightening. And after I went to China and came back, I decided to find a less stressful career, so I studied economics, and I was working for the state legislature in one of their budget offices for 10 years. And there I was a tax expert, and I'm managing the tax team to do a lot of evaluation of all of the tax laws and tax revenues, and I help negotiate a lot of tax issues. Thank you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and all of you in attendance exercising your civic duty to help Niskayuna be the best it can be. My husband and I have lived here for 20 years. We've raised our children here, we've planted roots. And from day one, I've been a Niskayuna volunteer. For the past 5.5 years, I've served as a school board member, including as past president and vice president. I too am committed to making Niskayuna the best it can be. I'm also an attorney. I have served the people of this state for the past 20 years, writing and reviewing laws and policies and contracts for the New York State Legislature. It is my payment forward. Because before I was a volunteer, a school board member, and a lawyer, I was a child of immigrants. My parents arrived from Cuba as unaccompanied minors in 1960. Their parents sent them here in hopes of finding a better and safer life. They found that. They love this country, and they taught me to love it as well. To this day, I cannot have a conversation with my father without him reminding me that this is the greatest country in the world. My upbringing has undoubtedly played a great role in my commitment to public and community service. I've spent the last few months doing what I've always done, listening to residents. As a school board member, I go to board meetings, but I also attend meetings of district committees, of school PTOs, of student forums, music, and sports events and meetings. For the past 2 years, I've been attending town board meetings regularly. And I have spent time nearly every day over the last few weeks visiting residents in their homes, listening to their concerns, and following up with personal notes reflecting on our conversations. I am now ready to turn what I've heard into action. You can count on me to do my homework, to listen to all voices, and to serve with integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event this evening. I also want to thank the residents for allowing me to serve on the town board in Niskayuna for the last 4 years. It's gone by very quickly. I've been in the town for 50 years. I've served on the zoning board, the planning board. I was on the Niskayuna Community Foundation for 10 years. Service is very important to me. I'm running to continue to keep Niskayuna a great place to live and raise a family. During my time on the board, I've protected our neighborhoods by working on staffing in our police department to keep our neighborhoods and our streets safe. I fought against zombie properties in our towns. Any kind of blight brings down any neighborhood. One house can bring down an entire neighborhood. I fought against that. I've partnered with NCAP to continue our drug take-back days to keep medications off the streets here in Niskayuna. With their cooperation, we've got a drug take-back box right here in Town Hall that people can bring unused medications anytime. I've protected our environment by supporting a wastewater treatment plant that for 10 years the town of Niskayuna was under a consent order, no building in the town, a moratorium. It was time to fix the wastewater treatment plant. We've got it done. We've also protected the taxpayers in Niskayuna. Cut taxes by 2%. Also, last year, continued that at a 0% increase in the taxes of the residents of Niskayuna. These are just some of my accomplishments for the last 4 years that I've been on the board here. I hope to continue that for another 4 years.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters. My name is Anthony Simone. I'm a registered conservative endorsed by the Republicans and the Conservative Party. Lifelong resident of Schenectady County for 60 years. Doesn't mean I'm 60 years old. I moved to Niskayuna 25 years ago and raised my family. I've been married to Diane for 40 years. Diane is a graduate of St. Rose and a school teacher. My son Anthony Jr. is also a graduate of St. Rose, works for Craftco Company and repairs the roads and bridges for New York State. My son Matthew is an attorney, graduated from Binghamton, and a Division I full scholarship from Niskayuna Schools. Albany Law School graduate also. My son Aaron Simone played golf for Niskayuna for 5 years, played 3 varsity sports, graduate of Rider University, and working to go into pro golf. My experience, 42 years with the Gold Corporation, 38 years in management, managing hundreds of employees, day-to-day operations, many special projects. Property manager, my own commercial property. Family business startup, Santa Fe Sparkling Organic Spring Water. Bottled here locally at Adirondack, sold here in the co-op, Price Chopper and ShopRite. I'm also an energy consultant with EGS. The company handles diesel, heating oil, electric rates, gas rates, renewable energy strategies and platforms, and lighting retrofits. I'm Ford certified. Currently, I'm on the advisory board for over 6 years for the YMCA Schenectady. I'm the chairperson for the board of directors of Schenectady Housing Residence Center. Our mission is to help the homeless plus homeless veterans. We presently have 156 units on Lower Broadway, and we're looking to build another building to house 58 on the waiting list. I can't wait to be elected. My focus is the smart growth, preserving the character of Niskayuna. I want to work with Supervisor Syed to raise and reduce taxes, not to raise taxes, but to taxes to reduce town spending and make it more affordable to live in Niskayuna. Also work on the infrastructure, serving the town's, stop. Sorry about that.
Thank you. All right, we'll begin with our first question, and that'll go to Jerome Chow. Will Spectrum have a competitor in Niskayuna? Primarily Verizon.
Primarily Verizon. It's a tough question. I'm not part of government, and I am not completely aware of how important having just one provider is to the town of Niskayuna. But what I do know in business is that competition is good. Competition does help decrease prices and things like that. But if it's going to directly affect Niskayuna's bottom line, it's something that I'm going to have to think about and also talk to the residents of Niskayuna about. But overall, I'll tell you, in my business, I got rid of Spectrum and I use Verizon.
Thank you. Mr. Haskins?
Competition is essential for efficient markets. So we need to have as many competitors in the marketplace for consumer services as possible. One very interesting, I don't know if we could do it here, it'd be difficult, but I heard about in Vermont there was a cooperative that ran their internet services for one of the major towns, and they formed this cooperative to provide those services. And so I think that would be something that would provide a lower cost and potentially and give ownership to the people of the community. So I think if that's at all possible in New York State and the Public Service Commission will allow it, I think that's something we should look into.
Thank you.
So I actually have spoken to a lot of residents about this. This is very important to them. They do want the choice. We currently have a contract, the town has a contract with Spectrum that's expiring, and they want Fios to come in. I've read the contract, it comes in handy to be a lawyer. I read the contract, it's a non-exclusive agreement. So what that means is there's an opportunity for not just Verizon, but anyone to come in and offer services. I know this week on the 17th, I think it's 7 o'clock, Bill?
Correct.
Today, there'll be a Q&A with representatives from the Public Service Commission where people can ask their questions and get some answers about the arrangement. But if the residents want Fios or somebody else, they are more than welcome and they can operate here as long as we can come to an agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, as Rosemary said, the town is in negotiations right now with Spectrum regarding their franchise fee. The contract that they're under is non-exclusive. Verizon could come to the town of Niskayuna anytime. They could be here right now. Verizon has chosen not to come to the town of Niskayuna. We're open. We would love to have competition, as Rosemary Henry said, you go and you talk to people, they wanna have choices for their internet, for their TV, for their phone. And this board supports that. Choices are important, and anything that we can do to further that as a board, we have tried to do.
Competition is definitely needed to keep the price down. I think many people and residents, including myself, are very upset with pricing going up on Spectrum and controlling. So, you know, even myself, I canceled Spectrum in my residence and went with DirecTV. And then to find out that didn't quite work for me, I had no other choice, so I had to go back to Spectrum. So choice would be great for the residents. We definitely need, and there's many residents that say they want Verizon Fios to come in. So I think I would support all competition to come in to bring that price down for the residents.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Thomas Hodgkins. Have you heard from senior citizens about any new programs or services that the town could offer that would benefit them? Or do you have any idea of any programs that could be offered to senior citizens?
My grandmother loved the senior center. She would go over there or take the bus sometimes and play bocce, and she would they had all these fun activities where she was like eating a donut off a string and her picture was in the paper. She loved that place. I don't know. I think one of the things that came up at the participatory budgeting forum was to get the residents to decide on some of the programs, to put all the money for those programs in a pot and let people decide what programs they want. So really kind of get everybody involved instead of, get everybody involved in deciding where the money should go. So use participatory budgeting for programs, sports programs, continuing education programs, senior programs, and I thought that was a really great idea, and I think that's something worth exploring. So that's what I would do. I don't want to make decisions about different programs. I think that people should do it.
So as I said, I've been walking door to door for several weeks now, and I've spoken to a lot of senior citizens. It's really amazing actually how many people come to Niskayuna for the schools, but we have a lot of residents who stay, a lot of senior citizens who stay in their homes, and they value the senior programs that are currently available, and they look forward to an opportunity to having a more accessible senior center, as was discussed earlier. So I'm in full support of that. I'm in full support of providing for the senior citizens and their needs and wants. The folks I talked to were very happy with the programs that the town currently provides, and that's all I have to say about that. Thanks.
Thank you. As Councilwoman Weber said, it's the facilities. When you talk to the seniors, the facility that we have now on Aqueduct Road is a very old building, very outdated. Our staff has made the best that they can with this building and their programs, but in the future, it's time for a new recreation center for the town. And it will benefit not only the seniors, but everyone in the town. And the comprehensive plan of the town is to have this located on River Road, adjacent to Blatnick Park. That's more of a central location, and that's where we would like to, somewhere in the near future, build a new recreation center.
I think I'll bring it up. There's two types of seniors. There's one that's home by themselves, and there's probably one that lives in the community home who shares some of the conversations there, and they probably have some bus services. But the senior that lives home by themselves, what do they really need as a resident? They want to stay in Niskayuna. It's very difficult to live at home when you're not able to drive anymore. So transportation would be a huge factor, maybe taking them to the grocery store, maybe taking them to the doctor's office, maybe just, making sure they're okay. So seniors that are home alone, that are no longer able to drive, I feel for that person because my mother is one of those people. And she'll call me, Anthony, can you take me to the grocery store? So yes, we can take her to the grocery store. But I think the need is, one huge need in this unit may be transportation for the seniors that are home alone.
Believe it or not, Katie and I have gotten our membership letters for the AARP. And so this is actually something that we do have to be very aware of, because I'll be wanting to use those services pretty soon. I would have to echo what the other candidates have talked about. For the senior center, yes, infrastructure is going to be very important. I think just like in the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they would come. I mean, they are going to the senior center, but if we had a better senior center, more people would be able to utilize it. And then what Tony had said about transportation is actually quite good in terms of an idea. Most of my patients do come, my senior patients do come with one of their children who drives them there. If we had some sort of a transportation system, Niskayuna is not easy to get around without a car or without Uber or something like that. And so something along those lines might actually be quite beneficial.
Thank you. All right, our next question, and that'll go to Rosemary Jackleth. What will you do to protect the taxpayers and keep the tax base lower for those on fixed income, since both the town and the school taxes are becoming a burden for those that are on a fixed income?
My priorities are your priorities, and those priorities include keeping our taxes low as possible, not increasing taxes. We don't have low taxes, obviously, and it's very difficult for folks on a fixed income to live and to pay the taxes that we pay in Niskayuna. One of the ideas I had that I think would be helpful, we don't have enough affordable housing for senior citizens. I think, about 85% of our tax base are residential properties, and we have a very small percentage of that are, 2-family homes, duplexes, even 3-family homes and apartments. So I think it would be really helpful for those folks. As I said, when I went door to door, we have a lot of senior citizens who have grown up here, raised their children, are still here, they're still in their homes, and they like to stay in Niskayuna. So one of the ideas I think would be to provide for more affordable housing for senior citizens.
Well, I cut taxes by 2% while I've been on the board, 0% increase in our last budget, and hopefully we're gonna do that again in this budget. That's gonna help not only the seniors in the town, but everybody in the town. And we do have a need, for housing stock for empty nesters, people that may wanna downsize. So that is something that we've talked about at the planning level, trying to work within our zoning laws that we have on the books right now, to be able to have some product and some housing available for seniors that may wanna downsize.
Affordable housing is something that's really needed, and it's not just housing, it's also taking care of the property. They can't afford to pay the taxes to live in a house, they can't shovel the snow, they can't do the lawn, they can't do the shrubs, they can't, rake the leaves. There's a lot more to it than, affordable housing is one thing, but also having full maintenance is another thing. Yes, we all really believe that we should not raise their taxes anymore, but they probably can't take care of their properties today. So that would be another thing to look at and work with some of the developers in the planning board and the zoning to put in some type of development that would help seniors that want to stay in Niskayuna.
And so this is a topic that does worry me. Everybody in my neighborhood, from when we moved in, who are empty nesters, have moved out of our neighborhood. They're gone. And when you talk to them, and one's moving, when you talk to them about it, it's because of how expensive it is to live in Niskayuna. And so once I started to run for town board, they started asking me questions like, why don't we have a larger commercial tax base to help decrease our taxes? And it's a good question. A lot of St. James or Shoprite Square is not filled. Why isn't it filled? Why aren't we encouraging more businesses to come here? one real big worry of mine is when the SI group goes. That's, to me, I think it's a large chunk of money that's gonna be disappearing and going to the Rumors or Latham or Colony, somewhere over there. And so, yeah, we really have to start thinking about this, or else more and more people will be leaving.
I thought a lot about taxes in my career as mine. So I have a number of ideas. Some of it is process-wise. In participatory budgeting, there could be an option. Porto Alegre in Brazil puts about 20% of their budget in participatory budgeting. So there's an option, like Ralph Nader says, for none of the above. So you want to put money in these projects, or maybe none of the above, and that none of the above can be used for tax cuts. So you can empower the residents to get involved with how they want to spend the money and or don't spend the money. Another thing that we could do is vote to approve budgets. Have the residents vote on the budgets themselves. If they don't like a tax increase, they can vote it down. Progressive real property tax. You need state legislation, but there's a number of people looking at progressive real property taxes. Actually, no, there's not state legislation. There's what we could do is have a progressive. You could have a local personal income tax. So you tax personal income and then redistribute that, offset that with the personal income tax, which is progressive. So you're going to reduce reliance on real property taxes, increase reserves, and have sliding scale activity fees. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next question will begin with Bill McPartlin. What new ideas will you bring if reelected to the town board?
New ideas bring to the town board. In my 4 years of being here, I have tried to reduce taxes and did reduce taxes. As I said earlier, one of the initiatives that myself and the other board members would try to like to do is get a new recreation facility for the residents of the town. Will that happen in my tenure here? I don't know, but it's something that has to be started now. Similar to a wastewater treatment plant, big projects take a lot of time. We got the wastewater treatment plant done. The residents of the town have spoken and said they would like to see a new facility for the recreation department. So those are some things that I think we need to work on at the town board.
Thank you, Bill.
New ideas. When I was with the corporation, we had management meetings, and when I wasn't there, they were asking for me. I was one of the guys in the audience that would always come up with either suggestions or ideas, or you start the meeting to get off on questions and answers. So the question is, what would I bring as far as new ideas? Well, I always think outside the box, and we have a lot of graduates from our school that became possibly millionaires or billionaires. I think we bring them back and try to get them to sponsor some of our areas, like a park, like a school field, like a gymnasium, and see if we can bring some money into the town that we don't really have to work for by reducing something. Also, I really feel that negotiating some things that we haven't had, and it's not a new idea, but we also need to increase, or we need to negotiate the sales tax and sharing that agreement with the county. I think we're not getting our fair sales tax distribution. Stop. See what I mean?
So I'll start. So my idea is really centered around transparency. Coming to the board meetings, and those of you who come to the board meetings as well, very often you don't really know why a town board member is voting the way they're voting. You could go to the committee meetings, but that's almost like a full-time job to get to every single committee meeting. This meeting, the town board meeting, is videotaped, it's on YouTube, it's live streamed, and then you can go back to it. And if you look at how many people go back and look at these meetings, you'd be amazed at how many do. And it's a great way to do it. So my idea is to spend some money to get cameras to do the same thing in the committee rooms upstairs. And then you'll ask me, where's that money gonna come from, right? Well, then use my salary. If you vote for me, my salary every year will go to a charity or back to this town. And so use that, I don't even know how much money it is, but use that money to buy these cameras to record those meetings so that we know why things are being done. Stop.
I have a lot of ideas, unfortunately. And I have a 2-page policy platform. It's outside. I have like 40 copies. So there's a lot of good ideas out here, I think. One is and the thing is, we haven't changed our structure of government in a really long time, and I think there's a lot of good democratic innovations to bring deliberation, participation, and transparency to our governance. So I think if we improve the structure of government, get more people involved, we can have better outcomes for the residents. So some of those ideas are deliberative community committees. So this is it depends on sortition, where you go out and invite people to serve on committees. So you're gonna get a lot of people who are not connected to the political party system. You're gonna invite people to participate, and then they're gonna bring their new ideas, and they're gonna be, thrilled to actually help run the town. Another thing is participatory budgeting. I helped organize a forum with Evolve Niskayuna Democracy about participatory budgeting. So and again, transparency. I like to stand with Jerry. I'm very supportive of this. I think that's a outstanding thing. I think we can work on and get done. But I have my platforms outside, so please pick it up.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna always take my lead from you, from the residents, and so I'm gonna share some of the things that the residents said to me about what they'd like to see. A big issue is speeding on our roads. We've got some signs up, and they do help, and we need to institute some other traffic calming measures, but that's a big issue. I heard it on Dean Street, I heard it on Rosendale, taking my own life in my hands, walking on that road, and many others, including I see my friend here who walked with me on Balltown Road the other day. So that's one. People in this town value open space, and preservation of it makes economic sense, because communities that retain their character and retain their natural areas typically outperform even economically other communities. Green initiatives, I've heard many residents, applaud the town board's efforts at, buying electric vehicles, community choice aggregation, and I'm getting cut off. Anyway, I have many ideas, and I will continue to love to hear what community residents have to say and bring those forward.
Thank you. Now we'll begin with the closing statements, and we'll start with Anthony Simone.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the League of Women Voters and everybody participating in this forum. It's been a pleasure to be here. Everybody's been campaigning very hard, walking door to door, dropping off pamphlets. Niskayuna residents have a choice. Supervisor Syed has a proven record enhancing the quality of life in Niskayuna. What a great choice 2 years ago. Now Niskayuna needs to have a balance on the town board to build a stronger community. I want to represent the town to keep Niskayuna going forward. I want to work on efficiencies. So vote Simone for town board. Polls open up early. You got 8 days to vote. October 26th. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters for running this forum and for all of you for coming here today. I think to summarize my situation is that if you out there, everybody, and those who watch the video, if you're happy with the way things are going here in Niskayuna, then so be it. You don't have to vote for me. But if you would like to see some change, if you'd like to see something different, if you'd like to see more transparency, and you'd like to know what's going on, in the last year, I heard more in this room about the confidential secretary's proposed salary versus the wastewater plant project. I know more about this confidential secretary. I didn't even know before then there was one, but now I do know, and I know how much that person makes. So if you want some change, consider voting for me and the other members of the team come election time. Thank you.
My mother's would be the first one to tell you that I'm not a politician. I don't want to kiss your babies or pet your dogs or inundate you with platitudes, and I don't want to go to your Uncle Larry's birthday party. But I do want to get you involved with the government. I want to create structures that get you involved, that give you power, that give you voice. Whether that's through transparency, through an online forum where you can offer your ideas about different public policies, whether that's randomly inviting people to serve on committees, whether that's getting them involved with participatory budgeting and giving them power to decide where their money goes. Those are the things that are important to me. Empowering people, getting democracy to work for the people again, and that's what I'm primarily interested in. Thank you.
For me, any meaningful life must include public service. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, we really live when we rise above the narrow confines of our own individual concerns to the broader concerns of all. I know what it's like not to be heard, a child speaking different language, and as an adult who thinks, if I have this much trouble navigating this bureaucracy and I'm a lawyer and I have this leadership position, what does the regular Joe do with this situation? I found that the way to promote collaboration by people of diverse backgrounds and viewpoints is through hard work and humility. When you read everything on an issue and you listen with an open mind, doubting a little in your own infallibility, you can find common ground. I respect the free speech rights of all, but I'm not interested in the attack politics that seem to be so prevalent nationally and sometimes even here. This is not about disruption or self-importance, not about whose voice or website is loudest. It's about who will listen and be your voice. I will be that voice for you and ask you to vote for me, Lisa, Bill, and Michelle. Thank you.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting an event this evening, all of you for taking out time this evening to coming here, and the residents for electing me 4 years ago to the town board. The time on the board, I have cut taxes, invested in infrastructure in the town, and improved our parks. All things I think the residents of this town want. Protecting and keeping Niskayuna a great place to live and raise a family is very important to me, and that's why I'm running for re-election to the town board. I ask for your support and your vote for myself and my candidates on the Democratic line this year. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to begin now with our town clerk candidates to do their opening statement. 2 minutes. You will be done.
Good evening, I'm Diane O'Donnell, and I'd like to be your next Niskayuna Town Clerk. Like many residents, I'm interested in the activity at town board meetings. Earlier this year, I discovered that most recent town board meeting minutes were not available, and also minutes for town board meetings have been posted for residents were several months late. Looking back over the past 2 years, I noted that meeting minutes were consistently months behind, and that the minutes often lacked complete content. Based on the New York State open meeting laws and the legislative responsibilities of town clerks, the complete and accurate recording of meeting minutes is a key responsibility of the town clerk. Based on the provisions of the Freedom of Information Law, minutes are to be posted within 2 weeks from the date of each meeting. There is no statutory requirement that a town board must first approve minutes prior to them being posted to the public. Our town clerk should be providing minutes within the 2 weeks. Historically, this has not been the case in Niskayuna. Niskayuna residents have the right to timely and complete communication regarding town business. It's the foundation of transparency in government. I also recognize that Niskayuna residents have busy schedules. I plan to improve services by providing some weekend and evening hours to make it more convenient for residents to do business with our Niskayuna town clerk. At the beginning of this month, the most current minutes available were from the June 20th meeting. Very recently, our town clerk has added content to some meeting minutes and posted minutes through September. I am pleased that my messaging of this pervasive problem has caused a positive result for the Niskayuna residents. I believe if I can make an impact before I'm elected as our Niskayuna town clerk, I'm sure that I will make more of an impact as your Niskayuna town clerk.
I'd like to welcome everyone tonight and thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this evening. I'm Michelle Martinelli, your town clerk. I'm a lifelong resident of Schenectady County and a resident of Niskayuna for the past 21 years. With my husband David, we have raised 4 children, Dominic, and our triplets, Angelo, Gino, and Julie, here in Niskayuna. I have a master's degree in public administration from Marist College, and with my work experience of 7 years as deputy county clerk in Schenectady County, I worked at motor vehicles for 7 years, and then 8 years as your town clerk. I am also the president of Albany Schenectady County Town Clerks Association, based on my track record of success. I am proud of the work that I have done to increase transparency in our government. I have ensured that town board meetings are available on TV and online to increase the accessibility for our residents. I have implemented systems that have improved administration for our town and brought us into the 21st century. I have made it easier for residents to obtain information that they need and want. By re-electing me as your town clerk, I will continue to serve the town residents of Niskayuna with the courtesy and professional services that all Niskayuna residents deserve.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go now to our questions. We'll start with Diane Donald. During last year, FOIL requests and town board meeting minutes have been very late and being made public. How do you plan to mitigate this, and what role do you see the town board has in this situation?
Well, as I stated, there is a requirement based on the open meetings law that the minutes should be posted and available to town residents within 2 weeks from the meeting date. And historically, this has not been the case. I don't really have a reason why this isn't done. I can't see why it shouldn't be done. Frankly, to transcribe the minutes and make them available should be something that should be done within a few days of the town board meeting. The town clerk is an elected position, which means that the town clerk is accountable and responsible to the residents of Niskayuna. And if for any reason members of the town board are influencing the town clerk in what is included or not included in the minutes, that is not right. They are supposed to be an accurate and complete record done within 2 weeks.
Thank you. Michelle?
I agree that the town minutes should be an accurate account of what is stated at the board meetings by residents. Transparency is a critical part of my role as town clerk. You can watch town meetings on live public access TV and online. Under my leadership, I have made the town board minutes available at any time online. So if you missed a meeting, you could always go back afterwards to see what was stated. My job is to make information about the government easily accessible to you, and that's what I'm going to do. I believe open government is good government.
Thank you. All right, our next question, and we'll begin with Michelle Martinelli. On the town board meeting minutes, comments made during privilege of the floor by residents are often reduced to 1 or 2 sentences, stating only that the resident had a concern about a topic. How do you plan to, in the future, accurately represent and record comments by the residents when they are complicated, when they are complicated? When the residents' comments are complicated, I think that's what that means.
If you're familiar with the open meetings law, the minutes of the town clerks should be anything that has to do with the business of the town. You do not have to state verbatim what is said at privilege of the floor. I'm hoping that in the future, I will be able to get this across to people to understand that what I'm summarizing is something that really doesn't even have to be in the minutes. So hopefully going forward, this will be a more accurate description of what was said at the board meeting.
Thank you, Michelle. Diane?
It seems that we've gotten to the point where we are reducing even our resolutions and discussions at town board meetings, and now we are reducing and summarizing the activity that's going on at town board meetings. And I believe that they should be accurate and complete. Now, maybe that is not word for word, but they should be accurate and complete. Additionally, when a resident speaks at privilege of the floor and provides statements that they want included in the town board meetings, those statements should be included.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to the closing statements, 2 minutes, and we'll begin with Diane O'Donnell.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum tonight, and thank you all for attending. It's my pleasure to be back up here where I served as a member of the zoning board and as a town board member from 2002 until 2010. I bring years of managerial and operational experience to qualify me to be your Niskayuna town clerk. I recently completed nearly 30 years with the New York State Tax Department. I was a bureau director responsible for processing millions of tax returns and payments. I retired as director of communication, where I was charged with the production of written materials, web pages, and seminars, providing information and assistance for individuals, businesses, and tax professionals. I know how important record keeping is. I know how important record retrieval is. I know how important communication is. Our Niskayuna town clerk is an elected official who should be accountable and responsive to our residents. I believe all of the responsibilities should be performed as prescribed by New York State and the town of Niskayuna. I believe in using our resources wisely and providing community service. With your support, you can be assured I will do all of this for you in a timely, accurate, effective, and efficient manner. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone for being here tonight. As your town clerk, I am the most utilized link between town residents and town government services. I am running for my 3rd term as Niskayuna town clerk, so I may continue the excellent customer service that my office provides to town residents. I would like to continue to modernize and improve all services offered by the town clerk's office for the benefit of our town residents. Transparency is a critical part of my role as town clerk. I am proud of the work that I've done to increase transparency in the government. My job is to inform the town government, my job is to make information about the town government easily accessible to our residents. And hopefully going forward, the minutes will be approved by the board and they won't be delayed anymore. I believe truly in my heart that open government is good government.
Thank you. We're now going going to begin with the opening statements from our county legislator candidates. And we'll begin with Juliana Fable.
My name is Giuliano Fibo. I am 22 years old. I'm running for Schenectady County Legislature. I graduated from Scotia Glenville High School in 2015. And I attended SUNY SCCC for a year after high school, and worked full-time through it, running a restaurant as the general manager. So I have a little bit of management background. After SUNY SCCC, I left and attended a school out in Boston on the North Shore, Endicott College, and graduated with my degree in business management. So a full year early, ahead of schedule, and I received an offer to work for a real estate development company. I worked there during my senior year of college in a co-op program, and I helped the chairman of the Salem, Massachusetts Development Coalition Board, working on economic development programs, along with working with the company I was working for to develop energy efficient apartments, things of that nature. When I came back to Glenville afterwards, I decided not to take the full-time job out there because I love this area too much. So after coming home, I wanted to get more involved, and I had been working with the Glenville Oktoberfest as a sponsor coordinator for a while. I then became appointed to a seat on the Zoning Board of Appeals in Glenville, and have been working to develop and help businesses in the area and community. And just want to bring a new life, new energy, and new ideas and perspective to the county and help our towns out. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Richard C. Fritz Jr. A lot of people know me as Dick Fritz. I'd like to first thank the League of Women Voters for providing the opportunity for me to be here and to speak to all of you. I'm a lifelong resident of Schenectady County, and on December I will be starting my 60 years in the town of Niskayuna. I am married, have 3 kids, and 1 grandchild. My education is in civil engineering technology and fire protection technology. I've served the community for 43 years in the fire service in Niskayuna Fire District number 1. I rose to the rank of captain before I retired on the career division, and I currently serve as the volunteer chief. I am also a task force leader for New York State Task Force 2, which is the New York State's Urban Technical Search and Rescue Team. We cover all of New York State outside of New York City proper. My education is, I said that, excuse me. I come from a diversified family background, and a couple of minutes of speech is not going to be able to properly explain everything in detail. But we had a lot of Democrats involved in the community, and a lot of Republicans involved in the community, and my father himself sat at this very table. Not at this particular table, but sat as a supervisor, councilman, eventually it was the Board of Representatives. All right, started out as actually the Board of Supervisors, then Board of Representatives, chairman of the county board, and then eventually retired as a commissioner of aviation. Family conversations, while all during during those political years, okay, were always interesting, and I always learned a lot. And it's from that exposure that I learned to be diversified in what I think and how I can listen to people, and to know that I can truly provide a bipartisan approach to all issues that come before us. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, my name is Michelle Osterlich. Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum every single election, and thank you for coming tonight and for staying to the bitter end to get to know your county legislator candidates. We all very much appreciate it. I moved to Niskayuna 14 years ago I left the practice of law to stay home and raise our family. We now have 2 daughters, they're 12 and 15. It's a dramatic time in my household. Ever since I moved here, I've become involved in local organizations. So I've been president of our PTO, I've been president of our JCC over on Balltown Road. I've been on the boards of the Niskayuna Community Foundation, Ellis Hospital Foundation, the Zoning Board of Appeals. I've run community-wide events because I love bringing people together and building community. Last year, many of you know, I ran for state senate. Spoiler, I didn't win. But because of the incredible support from the towns of Niskayuna, Glenville, and the village of Scotia, I was asked to run for county legislature. It turns out a lot of the same issues I've been talking about at the state level, education, healthcare, and economic development, are influenced by the policies at the county level. So I said yes. In August of this year, mid-August, I was appointed to the seat I now hold. It was due to the passing of longtime legislator Jim Burmaster. It's not how I wanted to start my public service, but it has given me an inside look at the depth and breadth of all the county government does. I've been appointed to be chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, vice chair of Public Safety and Firefighting, and I'm thrilled to work alongside my colleagues, Sarah Mae Pratt here and Tom Constantine. I've learned so much from them. I hope for your support. I hope to earn your support tonight so that I can continue in that seat. I look forward to your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Sarah Mae Pratt, and I'm currently one of the Schenectady County legislators for District 3 alongside Michelle. I'm born and raised in Schenectady County. I've lived in this community my entire life. I grew up in Rotterdam and graduated from Mohannesson High School in 2008. And I attended Skidmore College and earned my degree in government, along with a few other degrees, in 2012. I own a small business in downtown Schenectady. I'm the founder and owner-operator of Puzzles Bakery and Cafe. At Puzzles, it's our mission to provide meaningful employment opportunities for people with developmental disabilities. We've been in business for nearly 5 years now, which is a big win for small business, and we have over 6,000 applicants for employment, which I think really speaks to the need for creative employment opportunities for people with special needs. I live in Alplas with my husband and my 15-month-old son. Alplas is a charming community in the town of Glenville, but within the Niskayuna School District. So as one of your Schenectady County legislators for District 3, we represent Glenville, Scotia, Niskayuna, and I feel I kind of straddle those lines living in Alplas. I was also appointed in May due to an early vacancy, and I have a special election coming up in November to complete the remainder of my term. You may know me from my work at Puzzles, but my interests and experience go much deeper than that. I'm gravely concerned about the environment and the future that we're leaving for future generations to inherit, and I care deeply about mental health and the opioid crisis. And also, as a member of local government, I care about putting our tax dollars to work. We were a little late coming this evening because we just passed our $336 million budget, and I'm happy to report that we had 0% growth on our property taxes. So that's something that we're very proud of. I'm endorsed by the Democratic, Conservative, Independents, and Working Families parties, and I bring a fresh perspective to the legislature and stop.
Thank you. Now we're going to begin with our questions. The first one will go to Juliana. What are the primary issues facing Schenectady County from your perspective?
Okay, so there's plenty of issues that we could hit on. I would like to focus my energy and attention right now, along with everyone in this room, to issues that are pressing for our local towns, being that we're running in a district that covers Glenville and Niskayuna. So I will say right off the bat, the first one I can hit on is construction and infrastructure upgrades. I could talk about numerous things. So I'll talk about Knott Street construction, for example. I'll hit on building infrastructure and understanding that all of these things that we want to do and pour resources to are done for you, for the people. I know that construction isn't the greatest thing, building infrastructure isn't the greatest thing. The time, the opportunities that it takes away from you, the time it takes to get to work, the noises, the sounds. But ultimately, it's a temporary situation for a permanent solution.
Before we move on to you, I want to make an announcement that Thomas Constantine could not be with us tonight, so he's not here.
Thank you. The primary issues that I see going on, I agree with Philo or Giuliano here that the construction and infrastructure issues, especially related to the Knox Street co-op issue, is going to be a primary forefront issue that's going to be surfacing during our tenure. Starting next spring, I believe that we're going to try to, it's necessary, I believe, for the health and safety of the constituents that go in and out of the tax or to the businesses. But I also agree with the businesses on how the construction could be hurtful or detrimental to the businesses themselves. It is a delicate balance, and I would like to really work on making sure that the contractors work with the businesses so that we can provide a low impact and yet positive infrastructure improvement to that area.
Thank you.
Thank you for the very important question. So one of the main focuses that I've been afforded while on the county legislature is making sure we have excellent social services. We are now instituting some pretty cutting edge substance use disorder treatment programs that we should be proud of. We're making reforms in our jail system for safety. We've got a lot to be proud of in our library system and investments that are happening here in all of our branches. We look to invest in our community college, $2 million. This budget is being used on campus to improve our community college, which is a major resource for many of our developing minds. And certainly business development is key. So we work closely with Metroplex to make sure that we are attracting businesses and keeping and retaining our businesses, not just in the downtown and corridors, but in our suburbs as well. Thank you so much.
So having had some time serving at the county level, this is a difficult question to pinpoint just a few primary issues because the work that we do is so far reaching. I would say that public safety is a huge concern, and at the county our work encompasses the sheriff's office and the jail, among many other things. Social services makes up about 1/3 of our budget. Education is huge, whether that's our work with the community college or the amazing library system throughout our communities. Public health is a big concern. There's some new initiatives going on with lead and making sure that there's less lead in the bloodstreams of our young children in our communities. I think quality of life is important, infrastructure, but ultimately I think in this political climate, one of the most important things is working together regardless of party affiliation. I think just finding common ground and finding a way to to make things happen. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question will begin with Richard Fritz. What can county legislators do to promote more diversity in people hired for police, the sheriff's department, fire department, and dispatch?
Repeat that.
What can county legislators do to promote more diversity in people that are hired for the various departments, police, sheriff, and fire, and dispatch?
That is a community issue in which the community has to be involved in. It is a situation where you can open up all sorts of opportunities to provide the educational component. You can open up the opportunities to provide the training and the education that goes along with the different specialties that they're going to be looking for. It's not uncommon, and it shouldn't be a problem to look outside the community if we should meet or require to be diversified in our makeup of our public services and emergency services. I believe that it is an integral part that we represent the whole community and that the community should step up and try to represent themselves. Thank you.
Certainly diversity is important in all of our institutions and is ultimately a very, very critical goal. Specific ideas, however, to recruit more diverse employee base would be to work with high school students. There are internship programs, certainly at the fire department, there's junior firefighters, and with the community college to make sure that folks are ready to take civil service exams, that are motivated and excited to work in public safety, and partnering with labor, and to make sure that they're a partner at the table to make sure that they are actively recruiting a diverse population as well. We need everyone at the table to make this happen, and sometimes it comes down many times to personal relationships. In public safety especially, it seems that families, generation after generation, go into service, which is incredibly noble. It just means that we need to capture more families. Thank you.
So I agree with Michelle that diversity is important, not just with law enforcement and emergency services, but within all institutions. I think that we can help bridge the gap between members of the community and members of law enforcement with some creativity. I was very excited to see just this past week the Schenectady police officers were meeting up at the Happy Cappuccino coffee shop downtown, just as kind of a meet and greet for folks to sit down and get to know their local police officers. This is something that I've reached out to Schenectady PD, and I hope to host a similar event at Puzzles Bakery and Cafe. So I think just, getting engaged with the community, recruiting folks when they're in school, providing educational opportunities, and I think diversity is just so important, so that we don't have these terrible misunderstandings and mishaps that we've been hearing about in the news. Thank you.
So Sarah, I actually want to say thank you for bringing up that opportunity for our public servants and first responders, emergency services. I think right now is an awesome time to create a plan to actually help diversify emergency services and public servant roles within our county. These are people that directly communicate with you, with young minds, with all minds. And ultimately, if we're able to diversify the people that we communicate with every day and the people that we know other people are going to be communicating with every day, it helps cultivate positive relationships and positive communication between all of us. And ultimately, I think it would be a great opportunity to help create something to make sure that everything is okay. Everyone can communicate. Thank you.
All right, the next question, and we'll begin with Michelle Osterlich. Are you being supported by any state, national parties or groups?
I have endorsements from our local Democratic, Independents, and Conservative parties. I have endorsements from Capital Women, which is a regional PAC that supports women in office, running for office. And I have endorsements from several unions, but they are local or regional unions. There is no statewide organization that I am working with at the moment, other than the ones that I've mentioned, regional. Thank you.
So I would say my campaign is very much grassroots. As you can see, I am endorsed by 4 parties. So there's the Democratic Party, Working Families, Independence Party, and the Conservative Party, and I'm very proud to have received those nominations. I worked very hard for all of those. In addition to that, I've just been endorsed by 2 groups, the Young Democrats of New York, and I think I see some Young Democrats in the audience, and also Capital Women. And other than that, it's really just very much a grassroots situation. Thank you.
So I will say this is an easy question for me. I am endorsed by the Republican Party and the Republican Party only. I chose not to go out and solicit other political affiliations or endorsements, only because I'm trying to be a person like everyone else, and bring new ideas and new perspectives. And I appreciate the bipartisanship that we can create, but ultimately I don't believe that an endorsement means anything to my values. I will say I'm looking to just represent everyone, and give everyone the opportunity to have a voice, and have energy. Thank you.
You can even put the timer away, because I have no endorsements, none whatsoever. Right, I don't believe that I should be endorsed by anybody except for the Republican Party, for which I was asked to run for this position. If there were other parties that were interested in me, and I did interview, and they chose to go elsewhere with their endorsements, and that's part of the political process. I'm not gonna solicit for outside influence because it's ethically wrong for me to do, okay? To be reliable or reportable to other influences is strictly unethical, and it's not right for the taxpayers and to the constituents in which I represent.
Thank you. We'll have another question now for Sarah Mae Pratt. If funding from the Attorney General's office to take down derelict properties drops off, what would you do to keep this valuable program going?
That's a great question. So, we do have the land bank at the county level, and this is something that has been, very helpful in getting some of those zombie properties in our communities, including in the town of Niskayuna, demolished. And I think that the work that is done at the land bank is very meaningful, very important. I'm not familiar with any move in the direction to defund that program or to take any funding away. And I think if there was any movement in that direction, we would have heard about it from some of our colleagues who work very hard with the efforts of the land bank. But if it was in jeopardy, I would absolutely be looking into that and finding other ways to make sure that our communities are being taken care of.
I too am not familiar with the talk of the AG's office cutting that funding. However, I will say if something were to be cut funding wise, a great program such as that that keeps our streets, our towns, our city clean and looking nice, and a nice place that we want to be and walk around. There's definitely other ways to find resources to use that. I mean, there's numerous ways, but I will say I will always support a positive coalition to to make things better for all of us. Thank you.
You could fund derelict houses, and either through the state or even county and local resources. But I would like to take the approach that I would like to develop programs, reach out to the community and find out why we have derelict houses. And tackle that issue rather than having to worry about an additional burden on the taxpayers. Is it the community's malfunction or dysfunction that's causing it? Is it the high taxes? Is it the state's contributions because they're cutting funds to local municipalities that's causing the stress, that's forcing these properties to be derelict in nature? All right, I'd rather concentrate my efforts on trying to work backwards and say, hey, let's avoid this problem so we don't have to address it at a later point. Thank you.
So I don't need to tell the folks in this room that Schenectady County has been through some tough years. And a lot of the properties, especially in downtown Schenectady, have landlords that are not present and are not responsible landlords and vacated their properties without maintaining them. And that has left us in a position where there are a significant number of zombie properties. The land bank is largely administered by a county legislator named Rich Russo, who has spoken openly about the fact that he is happy if they need to close the land bank because they are done with this problem. It is a critical piece of economic development. And this is the point where we are making the turnaround. I'm so proud to be part of the team that for the last 10 years has invested not just in downtown, but is now growing to invest in our suburbs and expanding to make sure that zombie properties in Niskayuna, Scotia, and Glenville are also taken care of. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to our closing statements, and we'll begin with Sarah Mae Pratt.
Alright, well, thank you again for your time and for sticking it out with us this evening. So I'll keep it short, but basically it's been a great honor to serve since this past May, and I hope to continue my service with the county legislature and to continue to make a positive impact on our community. I know that I have the creativity, the enthusiasm, and the vision to pave the way for a future that our children can participate in. I look forward to the future, and I will do my best to ensure that Schenectady County continues to be a fantastic place to live, to work, and to raise a family. Thank you for your time.
First thing, I was looking at my notes, realized that I didn't mention what I do currently. I actually work in the backyard here almost. I work at Knowles Atomic Power Lab in acquisition management. Just forgot to mention that. So I want to say thank you to the League of Women's Voters for having us here tonight. And I want to say thank you to everyone up here. It's an honor and privilege to be here. And I appreciate everyone wanting to do this and lead and represent the people. I would like to just take 30 seconds to encourage everyone in this room to get everyone involved. Going door to door, speaking with people about my campaign and helping them understand why someone my age wants to get involved and wants to do something like this and represent people. And the reason I'm doing it is because I see it from a different view. I see everyone around me, my age, a lot of people just become disengaged and discouraged in politics and issues that surround them. Anything that people can wrap their mind around. And I just want to encourage everyone to get involved and realize that the choices that someone up here is going to be making are ultimately going to affect your life. Whether that be the day after, a week later, 10 years later, whatever it may be, just please encourage everyone to get involved. And vote. Everyone needs to vote. Thank you.
First of all, again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm going to echo a little bit on Giuliano's comments here. I'm looking forward to working with him, and I hope he does get elected, because I really truly believe that a youthful approach and a youthful mindset and the youthful perspective is necessary in politics today. As everybody can tell, I'm not a young man anymore, and I believe that I have a discerning and wise voice that I'll be glad to take him under my wing, okay, and help him, right, so that we can protect the future of not only of our environment, but of the people that are sitting here in this room. I've been doing it for 43 years, serving you as a firefighter, right? As a 26 years on the task force, been responding to a lot of emergencies. Okay, I would like to continue that service, and I believe that I'm capable of doing that, and I ask for your vote on November 5th.
It's not a secret, I love talking to people. My kids hate when I'm in the grocery store line at Price Chopper. It's probably their nightmare because I want to know what people are thinking. I want to know what folks bring to the table. And just in these few short months, when faced with any decision making, I immediately think, who do we need to talk to? So when it comes to the Knott Street development, our first reaction was, you know what? We need to talk to more stakeholders. We need to talk to people individually, and we've done that. And when I was appointed chair of the Health and Human Services Commission, I reached out to folks who are serving people with substance use disorders, to talk to them about what the needs are and what resources may still be needed. So I hope that I've earned your support tonight. If you have any more questions, please visit my website, michelleforschenectady.com, or on Facebook, Michelle for Schenectady County. I want to thank the League of Women Voters again for doing this every election, for you for sticking it out. I've been honored to serve, and I hope that you'll support me in the election. Thank you.
In closing, of course, we're going to remind all of you here to vote. That's the reason we're holding the forum. Also, absentee ballots are available for this election. Voters may submit an application for an absentee ballot with the Board of Election by mail, postmarked no later than Tuesday, October 29th, or in person at the Board of Election no later than November 4th. The last day to deliver absentee ballot in person to the Board of Elections, November 5th. Last day for early voting is 11/3. And I also would like to thank the League of Women Voters. They certainly made my job as moderator very easy. Thank you.